Tom, a busy summer for the Academy as always. How pleased were you with the pre-season preparations going into the new campaign?
Yep, really pleased. If I start with the PDP across the 18s and 21s, we were back in late June for all the kind of testing and what have you that they get put through. And then quite quickly we wanted to ensure that we provided the players with a number of different fixtures, tour opportunities, build that camaraderie as well as fitness levels and getting back on the balls and that type of thing. So they've had a nice variety. The under 21s went out to France for a mixture of a game and training camp, which was really, really good for them. Again, a new 21s group, which some of the players coming in externally was really good to join the group, as well as some of the players progressing up from the under 18s from last season. So I know that the staff were really pleased with that. The 18s went out to Hertfordshire and spent the week at Haileybury School, which is always a really good week. Again, a new group, players that had just finished their GCSEs and quite quickly from finishing them come into the full-time programme and get underway. And then amongst that, they've had a lot of different sort of type of fixtures. So we've had a number of Category 1 fixtures against the likes of Leeds, Reading, Manchester United, Everton and the like, as well as a mixture and playing some non-league opposition as well, some senior opposition in the likes of Farnborough, Oxford City as well. So we've tried to give them as much variety as we can so that going into the season, they've kind of covered every base so that whatever gets thrown at them, they're able to cope with it and excel with what gets put in front of them, really. Yeah, and then the schoolboys started a little bit later. So we want to obviously make sure they have a bit of an opportunity to, once they finish school, enjoy the summer holidays, but it's trying to sort of get that blend across the age groups because, some of our under 16s will be looking to try and gain a scholarship this side of Christmas. So we want to try and align their programme a bit closer to the 18s. So they've had a full fixture programme as well, which has been great. They've got an opportunity to try and go away in the October half term, so a little bit further down the line than the PDP players, but a mixture of different things really. So we've had, some games against the likes of West Brom, lots of different festivals. We had an under 14 group that went away to the Northern Ireland Super Cup, so a fantastic experience for the players and the staff there. So yeah, a real mixture of opportunities for them, but now they're back at school. We have a little bit of regularity to the programme. The games programme for them has also started, so yeah, we're sort of back up to speed and hoping that everybody's looking forward to the season.
We've seen a number of Academy players in and around the men's first team in these early stages. How proud does that make you as an Academy staff collectively?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's always super proud whether it's the lads training, whether it's the lads making their debut or trying to establish themselves within the squad. I mean, I can think about going over to the Cambridge game in particular a few weeks back now, but albeit, I know that Nathan was a little bit disappointed with the result and the performance. From an Academy standpoint, albeit the result wasn't what we wanted, we were extremely proud in the fact that, a number of players making their debut as well as 10 of the 11 players finishing the game were ex-Academy players or, if you like, current Academy players. So I'm not sure there'll be too many clubs that can say that, and it just emphasises the fact that, we've got a really strong pathway here. We've got a manager that believes in young players, which we're absolutely thrilled about, so long may that continue, really. 7
Academy players currently out on loan. How important is it for them to experience senior football, and how is that process managed?
Yeah, so we have a technical board and pathway meeting every month, and we've actually got one next week, where a number of different stakeholders from Jim Rodwell, Nathan Jones, etc., all the way through down to the likes of myself, Chris Locke and Jason Pearce in the Academy, will talk amongst ourselves around all of the young players, what's right for them at the right time. So it's trying to, gain a bit of a balance between having that experience with our own first team and getting opportunities, as well as if we feel that there maybe is an opportunity for them to go and get that senior experience elsewhere. That's a joint up collaborative sort of decision that we make a decision on what's right for each individual. So you'll be aware of obviously a number of players. So Zach Mitchell only announced, I think earlier this week, was going out to Hibs, as well as Micah Mbick that happened last week, as well as a number of other players. Daniel Carnu, great to see him score his first goal for Walsall's 1-0 win on Saturday. But yeah, the coordination of that, if you like, is through the likes of myself, but particularly Dave Huzzy, So Dave, as individual or head of individual development, takes a lot of time, effort and care in meeting with the players, making sure that we have the right staff covering them both live and on video. He meets with each player once a week, minimum if you like, to go through their clips. They make their own clips, Dave puts the clips together, so that it's kind of this continuous process as to, look, you're doing well at this, these are the areas that you can improve, because ultimately all of those players out on loan want to be getting their senior experience in our first team. So if we can bridge the gap and give them those experiences to make that a little bit better and a little bit easier, then that's the aim really, and that's the objective for sure.
A number of new things are in place here at Sparrows Lane for the new season for the Academy. Can you talk us through those?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've wanted to introduce for some time now in the schoolboy programme, in conjunction with one of our partners, the University of Greenwich, is a bit more prominent futsal exposure for the players. So we've managed to, for our under 9s to 12s, they'll have a weekly futsal session in addition to their sort of normal football curriculum with us. And that will be an optional session for our slightly older players within the schoolboy programme because of, GCSEs and so on. So that's really important to us. I think an example of what we've wanted to do with some of our PDP players and get them more exposure to is European fixtures. So only last week did our under 19 group go out to AZ Alkmaar to play against them. Really good experience. AZ have, I think 2 years ago, won the UEFA Youth League, so very high standard, and the lads acquitted themselves really well. The staff were pretty pleased with their performance, albeit they were slightly disappointed to draw the game in the end, having been 2-0 up, but that's probably an example of what we'll look to do for the 21s, for the 18s, for the 16s, because our schoolboy players get quite a lot of exposure to tours throughout the season anyway, so it's something that we want to make sure that we're doing. We all know that, there's a lot of foreign players throughout the Championship now as well as the Premier League, so if players are stepping into that environment, we need to give them the tools to be able to equip themselves, as best as they can, and getting these experiences against foreign opposition, we think, can only help them that little bit more. Some of the other things, I guess, is we want to try and introduce some indoor European exposure for our foundation phase players. So some of the groups throughout the schoolboy programme will be going out to Germany this winter to play on some indoor festivals and tournaments, which again is brilliant for them, both from a football perspective but also for their holistic development in terms of eating new foods and travelling on planes maybe for the first time for some of them. So that's brilliant, and I guess some little added bits around the academy building and the training ground facility in terms of trying to have some of those aspirational imagery and branding around, so that when the lads walk in every day, really aspirational and inspirational for them, if you like, to see players that they'll know. So that might be Caroy Anderson, it might be Tyrese Campbell, it might be Miles Leeburn, etc. That's plastered all over the academy building as if to be like, well, do you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. And it might just give them that little bit more motivation. So that's something that we've been working hard doing throughout the summer as well. So that both the players in the PDP that are in every day, as well as players throughout the schoolboy programme, have got those role models, which we think is really important.
We recently received the latest EFL annual report with productivity rankings, which had us 7th across the 92 English League clubs, 1st in the EFL and 1st in our category across the last 12 seasons. How proud were you as an academy to see that once again?
Yeah, I guess that's what we're all here to do, right? We're here to try and develop young people. So there's a side to that which sits external to the football productivity element about developing young people. But the main aim, and we'll never kind of divert away from that, is that we want to be able to produce players for our first team and the highest levels of the game. So the fact that over the last 12 years, a really ingrained part of this club's DNA has been its academy, and there's a lot of staff, both past and present, that take responsibility and have played a huge part in that. But it's something that we are super proud of, and we're not going to hide away from the fact that that's something that we should be sort of shouting from the rooftops to say, do you know what, out of all 92 clubs in this country, to be 7th top for productivity over the last 12 years, as well as 1st in the EFL and 1st in our category specific, is an absolutely wonderful achievement. It's very difficult to continue that, obviously, for an even longer period, and that's something that we hope to do. But But for sure, it's something that we're really proud of, and it's something that I would thank all of the staff, both in the academy and the football club, over the last however many years for playing a huge part in that, for sure.
And those rankings were showed to players and parents on Monday night at the Valley for Parents' Evening?
Yeah, so we had all of our schoolboy players and parents attend our evening on Monday night. It was a fantastic evening. So the title of the night was What Makes Us Special. So as part of our academy vision and values, what we feel makes us special is our productivity, is our pathway and our people. So myself, Paul Elliott and Rhys Williams presented to the rest of the staff, the players and the parents, around those three topics. So Rhys, who's been here for a number of years, spoke about the pathway and gave lots of really good examples as to how that differs from player to player. So the likes of Zach Mitchell's face was on a few photos, as was Karoy Anderson's, as well as some players that are no longer with us and have gone on to do some really good things outside of football. We were really fortunate for Paul Elliott to give up his time as well, and he came and spoke about the people of Charlton, spoke about how the link from the board and the football club and the academy, as well as the women's department and so forth, is very aligned, and how we want to make sure we get the right people on board and we give them the tools to continue to develop. So that was really important, and he put a brilliant photo of himself as a young 15-year-old training with the first team in the car park a number of years ago. I won't tell you how many years ago that was because he wouldn't like me to say that, but no, absolutely brilliant for him to come. And then I spoke a little bit about the productivity. So we showed the parents a really fantastic video with lots of goals and saves and so on from the academy products that we've had over the sort of era of EPPP, as well as the productivity slide, because like I say, it's something that we're extremely proud of. And sometimes we probably are guilty of keeping that in-house a little bit. So we wanted to share that with the parents so they're aware of, you know, Charlton's a place where you'll get looked after, there's good people, but ultimately there is a pathway. And not only is there a pathway, but there's proven data that suggests our productivity is very, very good. So that's something that we wanted to emphasise, something that we wanted to, you know, bring them along that journey with us. So hopefully they have the belief that maybe one day their son can contribute towards that. And that's obviously something that we want to continue. Interestingly, as I was alluding to there with Rhys mentioned some of the names that came up, whether it be the names of here and now, if you like, with Zach, and he spoke a little bit about his journey and his pathway about going on loan and coming back and going back out on loan. Karoy Anderson, who had a very short loan in his time as a youth team player before establishing himself in the first team squad. And then there was other examples of, you know, players that have gone on to play at the really highest level of the game. And Esri Konsa was one of those names on one of his slides, as well as John Joe and so on. And it was just really, really nice to see that then the following evening he scored his first goal for England away in Serbia. So I'm hoping that a lot of the kids were kind of cheering that goal in that little bit more when they saw that going on Tuesday night, because that was one of the names mentioned the previous evening. So yeah, fantastic evening, and I'm really grateful for all the parents to attend.